Dan Larson here, and I'm at the photo booth with some stuff that showed up in the mail several weeks ago in some cases. Up first is Jim from Humboldt, Kansas. Jim sent in the Assassin 1 figure. This is the blue version. I didn't read much of Wetworks back in the day from Image Comics, Will Sportatio. But I do know enough that there was a red version and a blue version. This is the blue version. I used to have the red version. I don't have it anymore. It's been a while since I've seen that one. It's mostly translucent. He's still got the solid black parts. As I recall, it comes with a like a double-bladed spear thing. I think it was double-bladed. And he's got like two little like ice knives things that were always supposed to fit in here, or at least one of them was supposed to. No, they were supposed to fit in there, but they never fit in there that great. But he's a really cool figure. He has chronic loose ankles and knees. This is back when McFarlane tried to put articulation on figures. But it looks like they're returning to that lately with some of their stuff, so that's a positive sign. Also from Jim, he sent quite a few things. Some Build-A-Figure parts here, the Juggernaut pieces. We got an arm, the head, and the torso. And then I just put Assassin 1 down on his leg, so I'll have to check. I'm not sure what other Juggernaut parts I currently have, but this is that's a healthy way into a almost complete figure. I've also got the translucent Power Rangers Megazord, Car Ranger, Deca Ranger. I'm not sure which ones. Turbo Ranger. I can't remember if in the U.S. if they had Turbo Ranger and Car Ranger. Or if I'm thinking of the Japanese versions, and honestly, I don't even know if that's who this one went to. But obviously, he sent it in because he's mostly translucent on the outside. Again, he's got that Shadow Strikers kind of look for him to him, which that came up 2 weeks ago in the booth video. 2 weeks ago, there was a figure in there that had a sort of similar look on the outside, and we still haven't covered Shadow Strikers yet on the show, but we should because I keep talking about it. Also from Jim, we've got a partially translucent Batman figure over here. Mostly it's the translucent cape, but he does also have some translucent elements inside him. I'm going to assume he's from the same line as the Mr. Freeze figure that once again showed up a couple of weeks ago in the booth video. I'm going to set him aside over here behind Necroplasm Spawn, another great classic. I'm going to take his cape off here so you can see the real magic of the translucence. I always forget these figures actually had knees. This is early on. This was like the first variant figure that McFarlane produced, as I recall. Still has his silly board with a nail in it. But, from a nostalgia sake, I like these figures now. Didn't like it back then. I thought it was cool that they were doing Spawn figures. Didn't care for this sort of Toy Biz look, Toy Biz style. But now that's I have a special place in my heart for those guys and that style. Jim also sent in the Ben 10 figure. This feels like a Burger King or McDonald's sort of figure. I don't know who this is. Still haven't covered enough of Ben 10 to know the characters yet, but it's cool, and I like it, and translucent. Also, we've got, lastly, hang on. Jim also sent in a whole bunch of Action Force comics, which I'm aware of Action Force. I know that it's the UK version of G.I. Joe. I think it's only in the UK. And it's pretty cool because some of the artwork, like the cover artwork, survives intact. This is one of my favorite covers of all time, Mike Zeck. Obviously, this is a larger format than regular comic books, so that one survives. This one's a little bit different. The anniversary cover had the sort of framing on the US version, and then there's stuff like this where I don't recall ever seeing this sort of cover art before. But the crazy thing is that Jim sent in a near complete collection of books here, and there's just an insane amount of books here that I thank you. I'm guessing if the interiors are the same, which I think they are, I'm guessing I will have already read these, but it's the cover art that I haven't seen before. And actually, I'm looking at this one right here, and it says I think that says Brian Hitch. And if that says Brian Hitch 87, that's amazing because Brian Hitch is a fantastic artist. Worked on, if I remember correctly, the Ultimates, and really catapulted that series, which obviously the MCU was pretty much based on that Ultimate series. And if that's the case, I did not know that, and that just became infinitely cooler. But obviously Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, I mean, those are the guys. And I mean, all this cover art, like I said, that I've just never seen before. Look at this. You even got this cover that, whoa, Eye of the Tiger, Eye of the Storm, and it matches up. And then on top of all the cover art and the potential interior differences, we've also got ads that I've never seen before because they ran for Action Force. They were Action Force International Heroes, and this is all artwork that I've never seen before, and that's really great. Womp, womp, womp. So, Jim, thank you very much for sending all of that stuff in, a whole bunch of stuff, and that was a heavy box. I was wondering what I couldn't think of, like, what could possibly be in there that would make it so heavy, and it was the stack of comics. Daniel from Madison, Alabama, sent in the mint on card. Well, I mean, technically, yes, the figure is mint on card, but it's not mint on mint card. There's a little rip right here, but another fantastic translucent figure. This is one where you press his legs together and his arms, I think one arm raises the gun, the other arm brings the cape up over his sleeve. Yeah, there it is. Ambush, you can see. Just like that. Ambush Shadow with quick draw action. We got free Shadow Agent hologram ring. When you buy it, any two expires January of '96. I missed the deadline. But that's a really cool piece. I do have this figure loose, so I'll be keeping this one in the package. So thanks for sending that in, Dan. Hey, Dan. And then we've got also 2 canisters here. Excuse me, Boba. Oh, there it goes. We've got 2 canisters of the Ghostbusters Ectoplasm. Of course, it's called Ectoplasm and not Slime. And for the story behind that, make sure you check out Pixel Dan's recent Toysplosion video, all about slime and the different names for it and where it came from and how it evolved over the years. These are from 2016, so I don't know if that's something that Dan, did you pick those up new, or you've been sitting on those, just storing them just in case for a rainy day? Either way, I don't think I've had slime in my possession in probably, I don't know, 20 or 30 years, so ew. Jeremy from Petersburg, Virginia, sent in the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Colossus. I'm sorry, Dan also sent in the Steppenwolf arm, which I think that's only the second Steppenwolf piece that I currently have in my possession. This Colossus, he's cool. I prefer the Marvel Select Colossus, but I will say, as far as this one is concerned, it's in better condition than mine that I had. Because mine is missing a thumb, and he also is super floppy. He's not supposed to do this, but he does this because he's just so incredibly loose. So cool to have a piece that can actually, I don't know, stand. That's neat, and has 2 thumbs. That's a bonus. He also sent in the Transformers. Oh, he fell over. Jeremy also sent in the Transformers Armada Seeker. I don't know who this is. I thought it was either Thundercracker or Skywarp. It's not. It is a Decepticon, so I don't know for sure who it is. But he also sent in the Starscream. And Starscream came with his little car guy. So that's cool. Blanking on any other possible Decepticon jet names that could be. I don't think it's Skyfire. I don't think it's Jetfire. It's obviously not an Autobot, so I don't know, so I'll have to look that one up, or you can just let me know in the comments. Either way. Also, Jeremy also sent in the Star Wars Unleashed over here. The Ayla Secura. This was an interesting line back in the early 2000s. In fact, Boba Fett back there is from the same line. We'll get to him in a few minutes here. But Star Wars wasn't doing 6-inch figures yet. They weren't doing 7, 8-inch, nothing like that. So this was the closest you were going to get to that scale. Everything else was still the 3 3/4 or 4-inch figures. And McFarlane was still big, so you were getting the sort of statue kind of pieces. They might have had 1 or 2 points that might have been able to move. She's supposed to have a lightsaber blade here. I probably have an extra piece of something that I can put in there. but they were really nice, and I had all of them. And sort of, end of collection 2.0, that's where those all got sold off. I think the only one I still have in my collection actually is probably Bosk. And I came very close to selling that one too once the actual 6-inch figure came out. But there's a dynamism to them. There's a sort of energy and movement that even the figures with the articulation. Maybe if the characters came out, Figuarts or Figma, whatever, Revoltech, you get those poses. But you're not. If they make an Ayla Secura figure, you're not going to be able to get her into this kind of a dynamic, almost ballerina style pose here. So these are really cool, and I've always liked those quite a bit. We also sent in I think this was McFarlane. It was the later version of the line where they were sort of revisiting some of the characters from the earlier years, kind of redoing them, a little bit more elaborate, a little bit more detail and action. But it's also still in that range where, McFarlane figures they're just statues. They're dynamic statues, and they're really, really great statues. And I couldn't get these wings to stay on. I'll have to run them under some hot water and soften them up so I can get them to stay on. But, things like if you don't have the base, which unfortunately there's no base for this figure, this thing is just not going to stand up. I could probably take that peg off of his foot and make some kind of a base myself. Never been in love with this character design, just one of those Todd McFarlane designs that never really clicked with me. But I will say these wings are fantastic. And I don't do a lot of customization work, but these are just perfect for an angel figure if you're looking for something to customize. And these feathers should all be a bit straighter here. I'm confident that they would go back to their regular shape if necessary. Just run those under some magic hot water. That fixes everything. And then we've also got from Jeremy. Now that everything's falling over, we got the Marvel Universe X-Force Wolverine. And then also back here in the corner. It's from a company called Play Along, which I've never heard of until I was opening this box and saw the company name Play Along. But again, from the early 2000s, where you're still getting this sort of statue kind of like he's got shoulders and they pivot, and he's got a neck and he's got a waist and he's got these hips. But why would you ever use any of those points of articulation? If you had to pay more for those points of articulation, I would have rather not paid for them, and it had to be a cheaper figure than have to bother with. But he's got alternate hands here with the boxing gloves, and then he's got the apple with a knife in it, which actually does come out of the apple. So interesting. It's not a bad likeness. It's all right. Obviously, there's been figures that have captured a better likeness since then. But for the era, it's a really nice figure, and it'll look good on a shelf. So thank you very much for that, Jeremy. Jeremy also sent in 2 of the McFarlane's Rot with McFarlane figures. For lack of posability, McFarlane actually did do a lot of really great stuff and really, really, really upped the game. For size and scale and sculpture and detail and painting and all that stuff. And while I didn't care for a lot of the actual designs of characters and models and those sorts of things, maybe even some of the choices that they made in terms of content, like just gorier than I was interested in, this Dragons line was just phenomenal. And it hit at a point where I was actually trying not to add another line to my collection. I was already into so many different things and just didn't have the money to be able to add another kind of collectible. But these things are gorgeously detailed, incredibly sharp. This hurts my hand to hold it. This one's actually supposed to have a base. There's no base here. But this one does have the base. And every time, if you're playing tabletop games, if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, these are phenomenal pieces to use. Unfortunately, because a lot of people weren't in on them, and they were one of the better McFarlane products that were out there, and tabletop gaming has taken on this new life in the last 10 years. The prices on these are usually they're still really, really high. And so I genuinely, Jeremy, I appreciate you sending this in. I've literally never owned one of these before. So for you to send in 2 of them, one with the base here is really, really fantastic. I don't know if you can see, there's all this scale detail on here and the teeth and the mouth. We've also got like the little bones of all the people. And these wings are semi-translucent and just a phenomenal piece. So my other ask for anybody watching this video would be to forget you ever saw these. Stay off of eBay. Don't drive the price up for me when I hit it next week to try to track some of these things down. Last piece that Jeremy sent in was the His Tank version 4 over here, which actually has, the articulated head and neck. This one always struck me as weird. I don't have a problem with it, actually looking like a snake. I just think it's weird that if you were going to try to use the bite mechanism, you're exposing the driver to injury. Not that that's any more exposed than the gunner already is exposed to, but it's a fun tank design. It was sort of in that between era where I had stepped away from G.I. Joe. I wasn't really a fan of that version of the figures. So I definitely wasn't buying the vehicles at the time either. Up next is Richard from Milpitas, M-I-L-P-I-T-I-S, California. Big time hookup here with the Walgreens exclusive General Veers. My Walgreens just doesn't seem to be carrying like anything anymore. Like my Walgreens they're not even stocking anything anymore. I stopped by today and there literally were no Marvel Legends and no Black Series figures. So I don't even know that this guy's ever even going to show up. And actually he's actually over here. I already took him out of the package. I've been playing with him since he arrived a couple of weeks ago. But this is a fantastic figure. I feel like he's not dynamic enough to be like a top 10 kind of piece, but man, he is just cool. And for just a general, just like a troop leader guy, there's no jetpacks, there's no crazy evil mask, there's no like lightsabers or anything, but man, it's just such a nice execution. The face printing on these things has just made all the difference on any of the human-faced characters in this line. And I'm really glad that they did wait to do a lot of those characters until they figured out that technology, because it is just a gorgeous piece. And I don't even know how I'm going to keep him. Like, I'm going to keep him. Like, I like the armor combo here, but I also like the regular hatted look. So I don't know which way I'm going to go with that, but it's a really great figure. Also from Richard is the Loyal Subjects blind box Thundercats figure here. I'm going to see if we can crack this open live on camera. And I'm hoping for... Yeah, I'm just hoping for Lion-O. I mean, I'll take any of the others, of course, but I'd really like to see Lion-O. I don't think I have any other Thundercats right now. Definitely have some He-Man and some G.I. Joe ones. And it's Tigra. All right, that's cool. These are all good figures. This is one of those sort of lines where it's like, I don't want to get one, because if I get one, I'm going to want them all. So thanks for putting me in that position, Richard. Now I got to get them all. We've also got the Tiny Metal Nightmare Before Christmas figures here, Jack and Sally. Mrs. Toy Galaxy was very impressed with those. And oh, hey, look at that. They glow in the dark. So we're both fans. And then in the back here, we've got, they got mixed up. I don't know which one's which now. We'll say this one. Vintage Fett number 403. Awesome. Looks good. You know what? Even if it's the other one, they're both great. They're both good. Good armor. Good armor wear. Great loose joints. They both got life on them. Good stuff. But I'm going to set this one aside because he's coming up here in a moment. Andrew from Carbondale, Illinois sent in the... All right, now I got to move some of this stuff out of the way. Andrew sent in the Star Wars Unleashed Boba Fett that we were talking about earlier. Such a... I've used the word dynamic a lot in this video to describe this stuff, but that's what it is. These things are incredible. And again, at the time, there was no 6-inch, no 7-inch, Star Wars action figures. So this was it. And to see that figure rendered in this scale and this kind of even though we know that this technically was not something that ever happened on screen or in a film, it was still cool to see this sort of dynamic, like still holding on, Fett's going to make it out, and just, all the detail and everything else. Of course, his hand is missing here, and Andrew suggested that perhaps I could replace it with a hook. Possibly that is an option, but I'm going to see if I can't actually just replace it with some kind of a hand. He originally is holding, his hand is out, and he's got his blaster pointed down, shooting at the Sarlacc, which is, it's not unleashed, but it is dreams coming true for all of us Fett fans. When I did have this piece originally, I tried to display it with like a light bulb under here, so you were really getting some light out of there, but I never managed to figure out exactly how to do it without it being too hot, because I wasn't using like a fluorescent bulb or anything. But now I'm smarter, and I would do it differently this time. Andrew also sent in the vintage diecast Star Destroyer. This thing is beat. This thing has had some life on it. Both of the, it looks like it's already been attacked. You know what? This would be great. If I had like a fish tank or something, and I wanted to make like a Battle of Jakku sort of diorama. Oh man, that is yellow. Because the radar, the force field generators here, shield generators, that's the word I was looking for, have already been destroyed. It is just scratched up, beat up. You can see how much it's yellow. These used to be the same color here. And then, of course, the little Rebel Blockade Runner is missing. I do have one of these in almost mint condition. So this one will just have to sort of be in a parts bin, just in case, like I said, I can ever make like a, if I ever need like a little diorama piece or something, I'll have that one. And then over here we've got, can't find them. Vintage Fisher-Price Adventure People Dune Buster. I have several vintage. We haven't really done anything with Adventure People or Fisher-Price stuff on the channel. I'm not sure if that's something we'll cover. I'd like to cover these guys at some point, just because the line was sort of the inspiration for Star Wars at the time, and were used. If you've seen the pictures, they were actually used as heavily modded to look like the characters from Star Wars, to sort of pitch the line to. You know, I can't remember if it was pitching the line to Kenner. I think it was Kenner pitching the line to Lucasfilm, saying, this is the kind of thing we're picturing, and, you know, we think we can make this happen. But it's just a fun line, classic action figures. Also, the reissue Zartan from 2001, who does not change colors. What are you going to do? And then Obi-Wan, and then a couple of glasses here. We've got the Return of the Jedi. I think these are Burger King. Yeah, Burger King. I think I have all of these. I'm not positive we actually have every single one. And then there's a whole bunch of these that got released. I've never seen this one, though, so that's cool. 1980. And then you got Fett on there and Vader. These usually end up getting used. That's gross inside. They usually just end up with like pens or something in them. They're so old and discolored, and I'm not going to use them to drink out of or anything, but I definitely have a little collection of these kinds of glasses and cups and stuff. So if I missed anything here in the shuffle... Oh, of course, Andrew also sent in Boba Fett 404. So one of these is from Richard, one of these is from Andrew. I apologize for getting those two mixed up. But I will make sure that I get it figured out when I actually log them in my Boba Sett log, because I know where they were based on at the beginning. You don't need any of this information. Thanks again to Jim, Daniel, Jeremy, Richard, Andrew. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending a few minutes listening to me talk toys. Hit like, hit subscribe. Check out our Patreon if you're in the position to help the channel grow. Thanks. Later.